Thank you, Buna.
Okay.
Thank you, Buna. All right.
Okay, everyone. So the first step, we've taken, like the first segment of the conversation was just providing the data and, getting ideas flowing, thinking about some ways to interact with our phones ourselves, but also how our kids are interacting with the phones, right? So this section is going to give us practical steps as to what to do, okay? So before we do that, we want to establish that throughout history, the church as an institution was never flowing with the cultural norms, right? It always took a stand against or about what are happening in society, right? And we want to continue that legacy that we have, right? So, we talk about Saint Athanasius, and he said, "It's me against the world," right? So I'm not saying that we're all Saint Athanasius, but I'm just saying that this idea of going countercultural, it is embedded in how our church taught us to be. So not to necessarily say, no, we're not going to do this all the time, but to always just pause and think, is this healthy? Is this beneficial? Is this good for me and for my salvation? Versus just going with the flow, right? So thinking about like fish in the river, it's very easy to just go with the way that the water is going. But what we want to be is like salmon that is going against the current, right? So it's jumping backwards. It's going against the current. And in this particular one, I'm not saying like everything, but just again, pausing and saying, is this good? Is this beneficial? Is this helpful?
So next slide. So this is what's called the Hang 10 movement. It's not something that we made up, actually. This is something that there's like a church group that they are trying to do together in the States and then some in Canada as well. So it's called the Hang 10 movements. So we want families and by extension kids to have a better relationship with technology, and this is kind of what this movement is about. But also, as I said, the anxious generation really taught us that we under-parent in the online world and that we over-parent in the real world, right? That we are not raising children who are able to function very well in society in the real world, okay? So what this is about both things. It's about how to give our kids more freedom in the real world, but to appropriately parent them in the online world, okay? Right. So let's go through what this is about.
So just about like the language that's used. So it's we and us. So it's not just me, it's not just Father Luke, it's not just John, right? So this is going to be a collective us, right? So we as the church community are going to decide on, 3 steps from these 10 steps that we're going to implement together, okay?
And that makes a big difference. I was just like my child's best friend, so our 10-year-old's named Joshua, okay? His best friend's this kid named Danny, yeah? If I have a conversation with their father, which we have had, and we are both on the same page that when Joshie is going to get a phone is this age, or when Joshie is going to get a whatever is this age, then it's way easier for me to tell, like, hey, Joshie, Danny's getting it at the same time as you are. Right? So don't ask me anymore. Like, this is a decision that we have made as a community. It makes Joshie feel less isolated and less alone, and it makes him feel like, he's not crazy, right? His parents aren't nuts. Even though we are nuts, but we're not that nuts. There's other nuts parents out there.
And also, like, kids having an older example of when they have delayed their phone is also helpful as well. So, we point to different examples in our church to say, this person didn't have a phone until grade 9. That person didn't have a phone until grade 10, right? So it's just, it's realizing that we are part of the body of Christ rather than just individuals living alone, right?
So I encourage you to have these conversations together.
Okay, so community practices.
So the Hang 10 movement here, there's broken up into 3 categories, either communal, household, and personal. So we're going to go through all of them. Communal is our community of believers together. Household is how, the Abdelshaheed household, or whatever your last name's household does it. And then personal, what I'm going to do for myself. Because if I don't control me, can't expect Joshua to control himself.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so this is the community. So when it comes to technology, we can't do it alone, as we've been saying. So, there's a popular line that says, our family does this, and our family doesn't do this, and our family, these are the rules of our family. So when it comes to technology, these sentences are not going to be helpful. And that's why we say, us as the church of, whatever it is, that we are all doing this together. So having that language is really important, that it's not just isolated, but everybody, the majority of people around us are also doing the same thing.
You'll never get everybody.
Yeah.
When we did this talk in our church, we kind of got a bunch of people who were like, how dare you, the phone's so good for my kid, blah, 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 blah. It's okay. They have their own belief. They're not and phones do have some advantages, of course. Nothing in life is completely negative and nothing in life is completely positive. So it's okay if not everyone agrees. Okay?
Right, yeah. And it's okay to have a variety of things, right? So, as long as, for example, if the community decides in grade 9, then they're going to have the phone. But what is on the phone might be different, right? So they're allowed to have Snapchat and you're not, because I don't think that you are ready, right? So again, it's the general, but also the specifics as well. So with the phone, all it takes is one phone to be in the room and all the kids will get glued to it, right? So that's why it's important for some of the decisions to be made as a community. So the first step is wait until grade 9 for smartphones and slowly introduce social media. So this is an important note about grade 9 and then introducing social media at 16. So we talked about puberty in the first section. So again, this is when the identity of the child is being formed, and it is formed with the content that they consume and the interactions that they have, right? So in grade 9, it's recommended that in grade 9, that's when they have a smartphone, but it's completely locked. Everything is locked. And then slowly but surely, it opens up until 16, where social media is introduced. But again, it has to be supervised and monitored, and then it slowly opens up. One note to take about this is that we don't want our kids to be exposed to social media the first time that they leave to university. That's also a disaster, right? Because it's the forbidden fruit, and now they have access to it, and that's all they're gonna do, right? So we want them to be exposed to a smartphone and social media in a controlled manner with the rules of the parents, so that it's not opened up completely, but it's progressively opened.
I went to Mac for undergrad. Undergrad, people go nuts, right? The kids who were had a ton of rules at home, all of a sudden they have this enormous freedom and they just go berserk, right? So you want to introduce things to your parents, to your children at home, so that when they are alone, they are able to handle themselves, right? Because, we live in the real world, right? So I think ideally we wouldn't do any of this, but you kind of want to have some exposure to
exposure. Yeah, so, we go through great lengths to protect our kids from all of the societal movements around us, right? Whether it's, social agendas or anything like that, we go through great lengths to protect them from it. So, as we said, we over-parent in the real world. So, we put them in private schools and, we take them to church and do all that, but then we give them a phone and then they're exposed to everything and everything under the sun, right? So we want to reverse that and saying, this is, these are our rules and how you have the smartphone. These are our rules around social media. We're going to be talking about a contract that we can have with our kids about that as well. As in addition to questions to ask yourselves, whether you are ready for your kid to have social media, in addition to questions for the kids to answer to see if they are ready to handle the responsibility of having the smartphone and social media as well.
Okay, next. Yeah. So next communal rule is no phones in schools, or we're going to talk about teaching settings like church, okay? So Sunday school, for example, no phones. And that should be, no one's listening if they have their phones out and they're just playing on their phones. So in our church, there's no phones in Sunday school. Some teachers are a little bit more, aggressive about it, in which they take the kids' phones before they actually enter the class. Some of them just tell them to put it in their pocket, but there's no phone in Sunday school. On our trips, there's no phones. So the kids, when they enter on the bus, they put their phones in a basket, and they get their phones back at the end of the trip. If they want to, then the parents have like a communal way to reach the servants on the trip, so that if they really need to reach their kid, they can. It makes it so the trip is so much more fulfilling. It makes it so that they can have a relationship with their servant. It makes it so that they can have a relationship with one another. It makes things like
Real.
so much real. Yeah, so much more real. So much more. You're living in this world. You're not going on a trip and spending 98% of it on your phone. So no phones in schools or teaching settings like church, because they interfere with our ability to learn and to worship together. Of course, there should be no phones in the sanctuary, like it's like a bit of a difficult rule. Sometimes for me as a new priest, I know nothing, so I need my phone, Coptic reader all the time to try and go through it, and even that interferes with my praying. Abuna Thomas, we have two Abuna Pshoy, and then our second priest that was ordained Abuna Thomas 8 years ago. He has a thing that once he enters, he told me, Abuna, what I do is that I have this geographical setting on his phone so that it knows when he enters into the building of the church, his phone goes into do not disturb, so that no one can actually contact him except his wife, what she calls him. Right? So things like that, where when you are in a setting that requires you to have a relationship and interaction with God, that we turn off our phone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Next slide, please. So the next one is to encourage important conversations face-to-face. Now this is really important because conversation is key to any relationship, right? Whether it's friendship, whether it's between parents, whether it's in romantic relationships and marriages. One of the key reasons that our kids are really anxious when they start real life is that they didn't develop the skill of having hard conversations face-to-face. So in friendships, people are lonely because they're scared of being, rejected, having real and hard conversations. So when friends are actually fighting, parents should, as a community, we should decide to say we are going to try to repair the relationship in person, so that we actually start developing those skills of having those hard conversations and saying I'm sorry and accepting forgiveness or offering forgiveness in real life, rather than it being like a text or an unfriend, and then when I'm good, then I'm going to friend them again or follow them again or whatever it is. So having these things in mind, it's really important for our kids to develop these skills so that when they are in the real world, when they are adults, they're able to have these hard conversations face to face.
So how I take confessions, right? So if I have a lot of teenage, high school girls who are fighting with other high school girls, because that's what, that's common, right? I would tell my high school girl who's coming to confession to say, listen, I want you to go talk to whatever, Miriam, who said this about you, and I want you to talk to her face to face. Don't send her a text. Don't have a hard conversation with them face to face, because that's how you're going to get over it.
Yeah. So, next one. So, adopt communal aspirations, right? So this one is, sorry, one second. Yeah, so it's just, again, having communal aspirations. So what it is that as a community of believers, these are things that we want to work towards. We want to work towards, understanding the liturgy more, or, having themes of the year, so that we're all moving in the same direction in real life, and we're all partaking of it. One thing about this is that to have intergenerational settings where kids and adults are partaking in the same thing. So one of the best things about the Coptic Church is that our worship involves kids all the way to 100, 120, however many years God gives us, but it's all in the same setting. So making intentional aspirations to be in intergenerational settings, so that the kids see adults moving towards the same thing. That gives us them an example to move towards the same thing as well. So it's just role modeling.
And the community aspect is really important. 2 weeks ago, I was in liturgy, I was praying, and there was a kid who was making a lot of noise in the altar, right? So we have a little rule. We try to get the kid to calm down, etc. And we see that the dad is on the phone on on Sportsnet actually in the altar, right? it's very difficult to tell that kid to stop doing whatever he's doing when his own father is on social media in the altar. You know what I mean? So the communal aspect of it, if I can't control me, I can't tell my kid to be controlled, or I can't tell another kid to be controlled. So I have to control me. So adopt communal aspirations together in all generations, because they won't listen if you're not doing it. Okay, next. Household practices. So these are sets of family practices to set healthy boundaries of place and technology where it can be properly located. So this is for you to do in your homes. Number one. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so this is the first one, is we have no zones. So these are rooms in the house where no screens are allowed. Number one room that no screens should be in the house is the bedroom. There are no phones, there's no laptops, no iPads, no TVs, nothing in the bedroom. And that just prevents bad things from happening without the parents' supervision, right? So all screens should be in communal areas, living rooms, dining rooms, kitchens, so that the parent always has an eye as to what's happening, so that if there is bullying that's happening, the parent is, cognizant of it and may have a conversation with your kid. I encourage you to have your conversations about bullying online. So again, just this concept of specific rooms that are sacred that should not have screens.
And then to add to that screens should be in public places, right? So if screens are in places that are hidden, right? If they're in their bedrooms, etc., teenage boys are going to have some thoughts about seeing young women who are not dressed appropriately, right? And they can do that on their phone. So if their screens are in public places, it's going to be less likely for them to access like pornography, etc. So screens in public places. So our kids are now entering this world of Google Classroom, of which they have to actually have a laptop, right? Because they actually need to do work. So where do we put it? We don't need us alone in our house. No one uses that anymore. So we converted that into like a room with 3 desks, because we have 3 kids. The laptop goes there, it doesn't move, right? So it's in a public place, so mom and dad can see it.
Right. And that goes in churches as well, right? So like deciding no screens, but public places having screens, right? So sanctuary, the altar, all of these places, they don't have screens. And then like the fellowship hall would have screens. Deciding as a church community, what are those areas? Floor screens and no screens. So this one is, we have homes for our phones. So we said that no screens in the bedrooms. The same way that we have bedrooms to sleep, our phones have bedrooms to sleep as well, and that is in a public area. So it's highly recommended that you get like one of those like docking stations where all electronics go to sleep at a particular time. And that's where the phone is going to be for the rest of the night. You could take it a step further in saying like, you can have a schedule for screen use as well. So you can have a schedule for phone use, for when you do your homework or anything like that. But it always has like a home for the screen. So it's not just beside your bed. And when you're waking up in the middle of the night and you can't fall asleep, the first thing you gravitate towards is your phone. But if you don't have it so accessible, then you're actually able to go back to sleep without looking at your phone and then getting your mind thinking about different things. Okay.
Right. Next is personal practices. So these are practices that we ourselves are going to try and do to set healthy boundaries with technology. So the first one is own your settings so your settings don't own you. Okay? And I gave an example of that of what Abuna Thomas does, is that all notifications are turned off the minute he enters into the building of church. You can do a lot of stuff with your phone, right? You can make it do that kind of stuff. Some people, Christina has like no gray screens, right? So it doesn't make her brain wake up to the phone.
Yeah.
Deleting social media from your phone and only accessing it on a desktop or a laptop. Right? Own the settings. Set personal time limits. Delete shopping apps. Like there's so many things that you can actually do to set limits on yourself. And you know yourself what it is that you spend the most amount of time on. So examine yourself. And when you've examined yourself, do what you need to do so that you can control yourself.
And this also, like as parents, this is modeling behavior for our children as well. So what kids will do with their phones is what we are currently doing with our phones right now. So this is, I heard a priest say, he's like, if you want to know your sins, look at your child, right? So if you want to know how, if you want to know how you behave on your phone, you look at your kid and you see how they interact with their phone, and that's how we as parents interact with our phone. So that was like, that was a gut wrench when I heard that. So this is just examining yourself to model the behavior that you want your kids to have, to kids behave with your phone. Okay.
Next one is wake up. So wake before your phone, go to bed after. So what that means is, it's recommended that you wait like a certain amount of time before you wake up to look at your phone, and to put your phone to bed an hour before you go to bed. So a couple of things about that. Like for those of you who do your quiet time in the morning, it makes a huge difference when you don't have your phone, when you do your quiet time, when you're spending your time with God. So it really makes a huge difference. For those of you who have trouble sleeping, like good sleep hygiene is to not have your phone, because it really does affect your sleep, right? It gives you forces you can't fall asleep, and it also makes it so that you wake up multiple times at night. This light really does affect your brain. God didn't make us to have a light in our face all the time. Right? So wake before your phone, go to bed after. Next.
So this one is just scheduling intentional time off each day away from the phone, away from any screens, right? So as a family or as a person, you decide, I'm going to spend the hour of 5 to 6, which includes dinner time and, getting ready for extracurriculars, and I won't have the phone, so that I am fully present with my child, with my spouse, and I'm not distracted, I'm not being pulled away from whatever it is that I am doing. And this really helps because, again, you're modeling behavior in that the phone, you don't need to have the phone on your person at all times. So the same way that we said, we have a place to sleep, our phones have a place to sleep, the phone is in that box or in that docking space for an hour each day, just to, have that intentionality behind that fasting period from the phone.
When I was in the monastery after I got ordained, Abuna Joseph from Ottawa came and visited us, and I told Abuna, hey, how do you handle your phone? Because I'm always you get ordained, and for some reason you get a lot more text messages, you get a lot of this, you get a lot more stuff on your phone. And he's like, Habibi, priests existed before phones. It's like, i.e., you're gonna be able to function without, you can have some time away from your phone. Mm-hmm. The world's not gonna end. Nothing is that vital.
Yep.
So those are the 10 habits. Okay. Any questions about the 10 habits before we move to the next step?
So just a thing about these 10 things, it's very overwhelming to say, I'm going to do all 10 of them starting from tomorrow, right? That's not practical.
Even me and Christina, we have initiated a lot of them, and then a month later, okay, we're back to bad habits,
yeah.
And then thank God we give a talk like this, and then we're going to go home and initiate more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Most of the time, I'm not lying, okay? But I have issue with it. I think most of our kids here, they are so close together, okay? So everyone have phone.
Yeah, they're all friends.
They are so close friends, and especially the girls, from grade 5 to up, or 4 to up. So every day they have a group chat. They talking, and they open the video and they're talking about everything, okay? If I take the phone from them, and already they have crafts, they're talking about church, they go to the hymns, the Bible study, everything. If I take the phone for 1 hour, 2 hours,
It's a video chat, sorry?
Video chat.
Beautiful.
Going on the whole night?
Sorry?
Going on the whole night?
No, just for a certain time. Not from the afternoon, not at night or whatever it is.
I mean, going the evening.
From 6 to 8.
Okay.
Sometimes they drawing together, everyone
Cute.
at home. So what's happening if I take the phone 1 hour, 2 hours, I hear one word. I think everyone will say to me, Mommy, I'm bored.
Don't take away so you can, she doesn't, so again, we said that you can have.
I just close it, she put it on outside
Yeah.
with her. Mommy, I am bored. Just 15 minutes.
I know. So I would say, first of all, about that video thing, that's so cute and beautiful and amazing and so controllable. That sounds awesome, actually. You have a laptop in the middle of your house and on the kitchen table or whatever it is, and they talk together, beautiful, no problem, right? They're not going to get addicted to that. That's great. Now you're saying afterwards is the problem, right? Afterwards is like your daughter is bored and says, Mommy, I don't know what I'm going to do, right? That's okay. Like, we are not made to entertain our children, okay? Let them be bored, okay? They will figure out what to do. Our kids are the same. I'm bored, Daddy, I'm bored, Daddy, I'm bored, Daddy, I'm bored. I hear that 1,000 times a day. It's okay. Go read a book. Go play with your brothers. Go do something, yeah? Like, they'll figure out what to do. We were bored as children, right? We figured out what to do. I think that the moment that we try to always provide solutions to our children's problems, I don't think we're helping them necessarily grow. Okay?
I also want to say two things. Boredom actually is really healthy for our kids because that's when they become the most creative, right? So when we control every single second of our kids' schedule, we actually stifle their growth, their creativity, their innovation, and all of the things that are required for, for real life. That's number one. Number two, with the phone, as John has said, it is like an addiction. So as a family, if you decide that, okay, we gave the kids the phone or the screens, and when we want to, retract that or pull it back a little bit or whatever it is, your kids are going to go through a detox season, right? Detox from 4 to 6 weeks. It's really ugly. It's really bad. So when and if you do make that decision that you're going to come back on screen time, that decision has to be made with the expectation that a detox period will happen. And you have to almost like psych yourself up to be able to withstand the detox. And it can go for longer and it could go for shorter. But it's just a cleansing. It's not going to be the end of the world, even though it seems like the end of the world for you and your child, right? But it's just a cleansing, and then they will adapt to the new norm. The thing about this period is that it's very sensitive that if you say, I'm going to take it away, and then their behavior is just so bad that you give it back to them, then you've lost that battle. Then if you decide again, and it happens again, they're gonna wait it out. Right? It's going to be, okay, like mom's going to break or dad's going to break and they're going to give me the phone again. So make it, if you are to make that decision, it has to be an informed decision as to, what encompasses reeling back the screen time and phone.
Boredom's okay.
Boredom is okay.
Kids are bored all the time.
Yeah. Like when we grew up in the 90s, our parents didn't schedule every single second for us. And when we grew up in the 90s in Egypt, I'm one of them, like, what did we do after school, right? We either studied or we sat at home and we just hung out in our apartment. There was no outside, there was nothing.
Your kids will figure out, like our 5-year-olds, we play like backgammon all the time.
Tolo.
We play Tolo all the time. You know what I mean? Like, kids will adapt and they'll go back to playing things that are boring, but they'll have fun. Of course, go ahead. It's great to have conversation. اتفضل.
ليه نتائج للتغيير؟ لأن ببساطة شديدة لو في طفل get abused at home, he don't know that he abused. When the social media comes, he discovers that what his dad did to him is not good. He's a bad dad. So he starts to be depression. He starts نسب الانتحار تزيد. كل اللي عملته السوشيال ميديا إن هي أظهرت حقائق. أنا أعتقد إن كل المشكلة في أولياء الأمور. كل مشاكل أولادنا في أولياء الأمور. Most of them they are not educated to raise kids. جزء كبير منهم they don't deserve even to have kids. So they go to controlling, not protecting. هدي مثل بسيط زي البنات لما تيجي تقول لك انا عايز اروح حفله البرومو والبس فستان اوعى ولو في اخ ولد ازاي علمها ازاي تروح مكان زي ده وتحمي نفسك وديها خد عربيتك اركن بره عشان تراقب لو حد اداها مخدر وبيخطفوها تبقى انت واقف عند الباب وشايفها لازم تعلمها تحمي نفسها. انما لو انت شلت الموبايل وقفلت ده وقفلت ده، طب هي هتتعلم امتى تحمي نفسها؟
We completely agree with you.
So we agree with you.
So that's why previously we had said, like, we're not saying that your kids can't have social media and can't have this. It has to be age appropriate, controlled.
انا حاجه ثانيه عايز اوضحها برضه صغيره قوي. ايه ليه دايما متخيلين ان ابني لما يقعد على الكمبيوتر هيتفرج على الكوره؟ ليه؟ بناء عن ايه؟ ليه لو قعد مع اصحابه؟ على فكره كلنا بنعمل العاب لاولادنا، ولا واحد بيبقى على الموبايل، عمالين يتخانقوا مع بعض ويلعبوا مع بعض وفي الاخر بيبقوا على الموبايل. انما ان انا اوصل ان انا اقول له شيل السمارت فون، in my opinion انا بقطع نفسي عن العالم.
Depending on the age of your child.
Okay.
But wait, actually I have something to say about that. Okay. So when we were discussing it before, we were talking about the dopamine hit that one gets from touching, from like likes and sharing and looking at videos, right? I never said that your kid's going to go on porn all the time. That's actually not what they're going to be on the majority of the time. The majority of the time, their brain is going to get rewired because they're going to look for constant gratification from their phones, right? So it's not that I'm afraid of the content. The content is bad. But even if the content was perfect, it would be bad for your child.
Definitely. But if the home has a power of love and the power of prayer, أنا مش خايف من حاجة. ما يشوف كل مرة هيجي يكلمني يسألني أعلمه. ما هو حتى الرهبان مشاكلهم في الأفكار الجنسية بيحارب وبيروح يرد اعتراف ويعترف ويتوب ويبطل يبقى تعبان.
You're not saying the wrong things. I agree with you, but
that's normal life. إن هو يعمل حاجة غلط، إيه المشكلة؟
No, the mushkila is not to do wrong. It's we will all sin. Like porn existed before the phones, right?
لو في حب وفي صلاة، لو احنا يعني زي ما نقول ايه، احنا بنصلي يا رب ارشدنا يا رب ارشدنا وبعت لنا علامات. تبص تلاقي واحد مثلا خبير زرع فيها في المطعم عشان دلق بتاعه. طب ما هي علامة.
I understand, but you also wouldn't walk into a den of lions, even if you have love, and expect the lions not to eat you, right? So you want to make sure that you are controlling what you can control. There's no reason to put yourself in temptation's way. Even if you are strong and you can overcome temptation, there's no reason to expose yourself to that temptation if you don't have to.
But so this is actually a really good segue into our next section. But before we start, I also want to bring up this whole age limit. Like, why grade 9? Why 16? Right? So we live in a country where they have rules based on age, right? Driving, you can't drive until you are 16. That is the rule of the country that we live in. So just because I think that my kid is mature enough and that he's strong and that I pray and I love him and all that, I'm not going to give him the keys to the car at 13 and say, go figure it out, right? I have to teach him how to drive. I have to go through the course, the young drivers or whatever it is, and at 16, the government will give him the license if he passes, right? So with that mindset, we take that into how to introduce technology. And to your point is that we don't want to bubble our kids and pretend that the world doesn't exist around them, right? Well, all we're saying is that we just need to take a moderate approach in introducing smartphones and social media to our kids based on an age-appropriate level. So our next slide is actually talking about how do we do this, right? So, yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you.
Sorry, so just another thing, I think the points are very good that you were mentioning, Uncle. But like, for me personally, it's also important to be aware of yourself. So for example, as Abuna was saying, like you're not going to put yourself in a situation that you don't have to be. Like, anything could be used for good or bad. Like, sex is not a bad thing. God meant it for good. But if someone has a sex problem, then it's good for them. Like, maybe it's a problem for them. Maybe for another person, as you said, it's like they don't have that problem. They can be around women, they can be very healthy and look at them in a pure way. But if somebody has like a sex problem, like the father of confession would tell them, no, don't go to certain places. Even maybe sometimes youth groups, you fall into sin. Like maybe like don't even attend. Like it's very specific to the individual itself. And another important thing to remember is, it's the small foxes. Like, for example, you say, oh, I'm going to go on my phone and search and just like answer a WhatsApp message. And I go on the WhatsApp message and I was supposed to text somebody and then I saw another notification. And I completely forgot that I was supposed to text the original person, and then I look at the person, they send me a video, oh, this is a cool video. I click on the video and then 10 hours, I'm like, or 3 hours, 2 hours, 1 hour, like I'm on the phone. So what like I don't think what they're trying to say is zero phones, like absolutely, like you shouldn't touch phones, see phones. It's just to like give like a healthy approach of how to do it, and to be like honest with yourself. Like if you have a problem, then maybe it's a time to just take a step back and revisit the situation. And there was one thing that I was going to say that's slipping my mind. See, this is what happened in my short-term memory. I lose focus. But yeah, it's just important. It depends on the person. Like it's not all or nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it slipped my mind, but if it comes
It's
to me,
okay. Yeah, please.
I remember.
Yes, go for it.
So the thing is, like, for example, like as we said, like it's the small foxes. Sometimes you can beat the small fox, and sometimes you cannot beat the small fox. I forgot there's a desert father that said, like, what would you do in this situation, Abba? Like, if you're like, there's a possibility of temptation, would you fight it or not? And he says, yeah, sometimes, like it's better to cut it from the root. Because sometimes you might win. Sometimes you might win against the temptation. Sometimes you might lose against the temptation. But why put yourself in a battle where you might win or might lose? If I don't have my phone, like I can't lose because like I can't go on my phone. But if I have my phone and I tell myself, oh, like I'll control myself or so on, and I win sometimes and I lose sometimes, like the losses are more damaging than the wins. So like it's something to keep in mind as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for the next part, we'll do it really quickly.
Yeah.
Because it's really just dependent on your kid's age. Yeah. So we're just going to talk about different age brackets and what maybe you can do, again, to over-parent in the online world and under-parent a little bit more in the real world. Mm-hmm. So kids 0 to 5, probably the easiest, go back. Free play, including playing with kids of mixed ages. So like having your 5-year-old play with 6 and 7 and 8-year-olds, because playing with slightly older kids actually has a lot of benefits. The interactions don't have to be optimized or perfect, so like you're saying, let your kids be bored. It's okay for them to be bored. They learn a lot more when they're bored. They'll be bored for a week or two, and then they're going to figure out what to do, okay? Let them be bored. Trust your children's desire to help out, so give them responsibilities and chores. So our 5-year-old is like the most shy kid in the world. He's nuts, I love him. But like if we ask him to help us out and do, laundry, it takes double the amount of time. It's okay, it's useful for him to do that, right? It'll help him grow more.
Yeah. So it's about the process, it's not about the outcome, right? So it's not the perfection of laundry being done and everything neat, or, when washing the dishes, it's flooded, but it's okay because he's learning a different skill. So it's about the process, not the outcome. Yeah, nice. Yeah. So, what can parents do? Less screen time. So up to 18 months, they should only be on video calls with loved ones. Older than that, minimal educational programs. 2 to 5 years old, limit non-educational screen time to 1 hour per weekday, 3 hours on the weekend. And again, no screens in the bedroom.
Yeah. So as much as you can for this age bracket, almost nothing. Things like that are really nice to do as a family is like watching a sporting event. Like that doesn't count. Talking to Teta and Gita on the phone, that doesn't count. Like things like that. Yeah. Ages 6 to 13, we encourage you guys to have more experiences for your kids in the real world. Okay, so like this is hard for us. Okay, so like this last year we tried to let our kids leave and go to the park by themselves. Okay, it is not easy. Our kids, as we said, is 5, 8, and 10. It's not easy for us to try and make sure that they're okay. So letting your kids go to the grocery store, pick up something for you, give them a sense of responsibility and ability, like let them live, okay? Encourage them to walk to school in a group, encourage them to free play after school, not have everything in their life structured to hockey, basketball, soccer, or whatever. Encourage them to go on, like our kids are going on a sleepaway camp with no devices, like a church overnight trip. Like encourage them to have experiences in the real world. Okay? Push them to have real things.
Yeah.
And then less experience on screens.
Yeah, so the recommendation is no more than 2 hours per day for screen-based recreational activities, so TV, video games, social media, including chatting, all that. Devices in common areas, again, so bedrooms as a no-screen zone. and look for signs for addiction and problematic use. So this is the age where you kind of get to know your kid and get to know their tendencies. One kid may have like an addictive personality, addictive tendencies. Another kid, this is not an issue for them, so it's okay. So things to look into is interfering with daily routines and commitments so that they're not able to do their routine behaviors and commitments. There's cravings for the device itself. So if they're going like 5-10 minutes without the phone and they can't handle themselves, that's a sign for you to say like maybe there is a little bit of an addiction and dependence with screens. Deceptive behavior, so lying. Choosing social media versus in-person interaction. Like if they're going for social media interaction versus hanging out in real life, that might be like a bit of a red flag for you. Less than 8 hours of sleep due to use. So that's another thing too. If they're not getting the appropriate amount of sleep, then again, something to consider. Deference from engaging in regular physical activity. If they are choosing to opt to sit down and just use their phones, then that's something to consider. And then last thing is, no social media before 16. So again, that's puberty. Things are very turbulent. 16 is when things start to calm down a bit. And again, it depends on your kid, right? So 16 is not the magical number that, okay, you're 16, you're going to get it. No, it depends on your kid. If they're a little bit less mature at 16, then a little bit of a delay is okay. If they're mature, then 16 is good to do that. Yes?
How about like if we had the pressure?
Thank you. So what about if we have the pressure of them to have the social media?
What do you mean?
Pressure, like
Peer pressure.
before 16, they have like, I need a Snapchat. All my friends own Snapchat. What can I do? I need the pressure, and sometimes you feel like
It hurts. Yeah.
Yeah, it hurts that you don't want to be like a very tough parent that will not be.
You want to be their friend.
Yeah. We don't want to lose them. So
Right.
I don't know what to do because actually we didn't I have a 16-year-old girl, and I think she had like Snapchat before. Maybe she's in grade 7 or 8.
Yeah.
And when I have another like 8 years boy, so I don't know, like maybe I will try to to change what I did.
So again, like what you did with your girl before, it is what it is. Like it's not what's done is done. It's not a big deal. Like it's not like you didn't know anything. It is what it is.
Right.
But I would say a couple of things. I am my kid's parent and not their friend. Okay? It is okay for them to dislike me at times. When I send my kids to their room or I do whatever, I take away basketball, they don't like me. Right? Whatever. It's okay. Like they will, like our relationship, I know that even if there's a period of time that they don't like me, I know that our relationship is above that. Okay? Like they'll like me when they're older. My mom was so hard on us growing up, I can tell you. I love my mom now, right? But I can say that she was very hard on us when we were growing up, and that's good. Okay? So again, I'm like, she's my parent.
But also, like, when you're having these hard conversations or making decisions about whatever it is, it's important to involve your kid in these decisions, right? So it's being as transparent as possible in when you're communicating with your kid. So reminding them that we love you, we're here for you, I know it's hard, I've experienced hardship as well. I remember the time when I was the only person who didn't have the dress or the whatever it is. It's part of growing up, right? So I don't think that mowing, there's this term called lawn mowing parents, where you're literally mowing the lawn so that the path is clear for your kids. We don't want our kids to have an easy upbringing, or we do, but not too much so that when they're adults and they're faced with hardships or a bump in the road, that they're completely stifled and they don't have a frustration tolerance. So we need to build frustration tolerance for our kids so that when things don't go their way, it's okay. You are able to do hard things, right?
I would say the other thing is like what Christina was saying. I've encouraged some parents to read the Anxious Generation book with their kids, right? So that they actually can say this is, I'm doing this for your best interest, and the reason that I'm doing this is X, Y, and Z, right? There is an anxious generation book that's actually made for kids. I don't remember what it's called.
It's called The Amazing Generation.
The Amazing Generation.
The Amazing
So
Generation. So it's like a graphic novel. So it's just and it's made for kids to say how amazing they are. But what are some things to consider as an amazing generation, such as social media, phone use, etc.
So talking to your kids and explaining to them the rationale as to why you are doing things, even if they don't like it, is important so that they can see, like, you know, mom and dad are doing this for my own benefit.
Yeah. But more than words, it's what mom and dad are doing with their own phones for your sake as well, right? So I'm not using my phone so that I can show you what a relationship with the phone looks like, right? So moving along.
Age 13 to 18, again, tell your kids to have more experience in the real world. Push them to, you know, take public transportation on their own, go on the train. Let them go, like, hang out in a third place that's not your home or school. Rely on, like, get them to, like be have a part-time job. Like, I worked at McDonald's from high school, right? Get them to be a camp counselor, go to, you know, a church camp if you have a church camp, babysit, coach, whatever it is. Like, push them to have real experiences in the real world, rather than having these, like, just online experiences.
Yeah.
Next.
Yeah. So again, with 13 to 18, less experience on screen. So this is the time where you consider loosening restrictions as the teen matures, right? So 16 is that number that you're looking for to start saying, like, okay, let's have a conversation about, you know, what are some social media apps?
Snapchat.
You know, Snapchat versus Instagram versus whatever. You pick one and you go with it. You have an account with them. There are certain rules around, you know, having that Snapchat account. Mom is going to be on it or dad's going to be on it. There's no secrets. I know the password. I can log in whenever I want. Whatever contract you want to make with your teen, this is the age that you start thinking about this stuff. Transition from basic phone to a smartphone. Again, like, this is a time where we want our kids to be exposed to the world under our roof before they get exposed to the world outside of our control, outside of our knowledge, right? Continue to set family rules about when phones can be used and cannot use. So again, those no zones. Bedrooms are like a big no-no. Encourage good routines, start opening social media accounts, but look for addictive and problematic use, as what we've mentioned before, okay? Next. Yeah, okay, so introduction to devices. This is geared for parents of kids 7 to 8. So grade 7 and 8, yes. So the first introduction to the smart technology world would be a smartphone, a smartwatch. So that is like something like an Apple Watch, where they are able to communicate with their friends through, like, phones and texting and whatever, but the world is not opened up to them. You are able to communicate with your kids. You know, you start introducing this concept of having the responsibility of technology, right? Because technology is not cheap. So just, you know, this is the first step. Second,
this is much more communication with your parents. So, like, say my kid plays basketball, he's going to a tournament, he's a grade 7 and 8, I want to know where he is. He has a phone, like a little thing on his...
A little watch.
A watch that actually has cellular capabilities, but it's not a phone, so I can contact him, right? It's much more about contact, safety, etc.
So this one, and then early high school, so grades 9 and 10, it would be a monitored phone, such as a pinwheel phone. So the pinwheel actually, like, I haven't used it, but from what I have researched, the pinwheel phone is actually mirrored on the parent's phone. So whatever the screen is on the kid's phone, it comes up on the parent's phone. So this is a good way to, you know, give them an opportunity to gain your trust. Because if I see something, then we have to have a conversation, right? And everything is mirrored on the parent's phone. Then late high school, which is 11 and 12, again, we want to start opening up. They get a smartphone, and that's when social media is introduced, because we want to, you know, have those conversations with our kids while they're under our roof versus when they're in university. So a note about flip phones. So even though flip phones are really good in that it's very tedious and cumbersome to go on YouTube or go on, like, bad websites or whatever it is, you cannot actually have any parental controls on the flip phone. So that's one, if this is something to consider. Giving your kids a lockdown smartphone is not the best solution, as kids will always find a way around parental controls on devices, right? So the pinwheel is actually extremely locked down. There are no, you know, there's no navigation around parental controls. With the iPhone, you can have so many things that can overpass parental controls that you put on. So just
Kids are smart.
do your research around the device that you're going to give your kids.
Next.
Yeah.
This is, I think, the last
This
slide.
is the last slide. So I actually have over here just questions that you can ask yourself if you are ready for your kid to have a phone. Okay. One of the questions that I want to highlight is, have I talked to my child or teen about digital dangers such as online predators, sexting, pornography, nudes, deepfakes, gaming addiction, cyberbullying, body image, self-harm content, online privacy, sextortion, phishing, mental health, AI, etc. If I, as a parent, am not able to have an open and honest and calm conversation about these things with my kids, then my kid is not ready to have a smartphone with social media. Because the whole thing about having this is, as you said, Uncle, is having that relationship and love with our kids. But if we are not introducing and being open and honest about the dangers about social media, they're never going to come to us because they're uncomfortable talking to us about, Mom, I saw like a bad picture, or Dad, like a girl sent me a nude, what do I do? Right? So we need to have these open and honest conversations with our kids about all of these things that they're facing online, so that we do create an environment of openness and love in our house, so that they are able to come back to us and talk to us and tell us, this is what I've been exposed to, or like someone's bullying me, or I bullied someone online and now I'm in trouble at school, right? So the thing about smartphones, as Uncle said here, is creating that environment of openness and love. And that comes from us. It has to be initiated by us, right? So if you're interested, I have a copy if you'd like. And then the last slide is just like resources for parents. So The Anxious Generation is the book in yellow, that one there. I also love the book above it, Habits of the Household. So that it's just talking about what are some habits that you would like to have in your house. Just things to consider, being intentional. A really good documentary about, cell phones and social media is Childhood 2.0. It's on YouTube, I believe. So what I recommend is that as parents, you watch it, and if you see that it is appropriate for your kid to watch it, you would have like a movie night and discussion night with your child. Parenting in the Tech World, that's a Facebook group just for parents to, ask their questions. Again, it's just a community. Scrolling to Death is a podcast where a mom just, has a podcast about AI and all that kind of stuff. The last one I want to mention too is Protect Young Eyes. So that is actually a Christian, he's a Christian pastor, I believe, who is really involved in technology, and that's his thing. So he created like a guide for parental controls, reviews on, Roblox and all the other things that kids Discord and all that. So just, it creates awareness for parents. So rather than just giving the kid Roblox or whatever it is, you can actually review it he gives a review as to like, is it good, is it bad, what to look out for, and all that kind of stuff. So these are just resources for you.
And then the last thing, the slide before actually had like a little contract.
Yes.
So we were talking this with another father from a different church, and he has a contract with his children who are now in high school, right? So he literally has them sign something saying like, this is how I'm going to handle my particular smartphone. This is what I'm going to do. If I break this rule, then I get this phone taken away for 2 weeks. And he shows him the contract whenever the kid breaks the rule, and he takes his phone.
You signed it.
You signed it.
Yeah, like you. Yeah.
So actually, contracts it sounds a little crazy, right? To have your kid sign a contract, but parents do crazy things.
Yeah, it's true.
That's it.
That's yes.
Thank you very much. It's very interesting and very good resources as well. Wondering if you can have access to
Abuna has it, right?
Yes, Abuna has it. Yeah.
Abuna has the presentation.
Yeah. No problem.
There's also one more really good resource.
Yes.
One more resource.
So there's a really good resource that me, my brother, and my friends, we sometimes use together. It's like a family plan. It's called Canopy, Canopy. and basically it's like a filter system that doesn't even allow like the phone to show like partial nudity. So say there's like a picture of like even like a girl that like it's not fully nude or anything, or like it's not necessarily like pornography, but it could be some sort of exposure, or it could be like something a little bit iffy. It will block that picture. You won't be able to see that picture. And also for swearing and so on, like it notices the different words and like violence or whatever it might be. Like it's like an AI tool that like looks at the picture on the screen, and if the picture is like not appropriate, it won't even like give the first step of it's before pornography, where like someone can be wearing like a bra or like whatever it means. It's a very good app that I would recommend. It's called Canopy. You can get a family plan too, because it's not a problem just for the kids. Like even youth or parents, like they can suffer with this stuff too.
Absolutely. Canopy.
Canopy.
CANOPY. Canopy. Yeah. Yes, go ahead.
So during this session, after all these years, already our kids has access to social media, whatever is the ages that you provided. How can we start the conversation to start putting some restrictions or some limits or rules? How can we start this?
So I love the idea of watching something together, or reading something together, or doing like a I don't know if you guys drive a lot as a family. Anxious Generation, for example, is on whatever audiobook, right? Or watching the
Childhood 2.0.
The Childhood 2.0. Something to that alert your child that this is a problem, right? And maybe as if your child realizes this is a problem, you together could talk about potential solutions together, right? Having your child involved and coming up with the solutions with you is very important. But they won't realize that it's a problem unless you introduce it to them as a problem.
Right.
So I would say if your kids are older and whatever it is that they have this or they don't have that, I think the first step is to introducing them to a problem, that this is a problem coming up, and then you can work together about descaling.
Yeah.
Same thing with us, like adults. Like me and Christina have a conversation about like my phone use, right? You think, you're on your phone when you're having dinner. Get off your phone. You know what I mean? Like it's okay to have conversations about things that are like that were trials that we're going through.
Yeah. But also like even it just saying like, hey, I went to a talk and I learned like so many things, and this is one thing that I took out of it. I want to talk to you about it. What do you think? Or like, have you experienced bullying online? Just asking those like little questions that may like pique their interest into like, oh, like mom knows about that, or like, mom really wants to talk to me about that. Then it creates that open and honest environment for them to be open to learning about what you learned, right? So it's not just all on you, it's involving them as well in the conversation, and just introducing topics to them.
Thank you, Luna.
So, sorry, the last thing that I want to say is I don't want you guys to go home and say like, okay, that's it, there's no phones, there's this, like, we're done, all that stuff. I really encourage you to take a period of 24 hours and just really, I know there's a lot of heightened emotions, right? So when we first talked about this, it was like, no phones forever, like all that kind of stuff. So just take 24 hours, reflect on what we've talked about, reflect on, certain rhythms that you have at home, and identify 2 or 3 things that you want to start implementing, and then you go from there. It doesn't have to be 100%. It's just if you want to implement all 10 things and everything, you're setting yourself up and your kids up for failure. So just take time, simmer down, reflect, decide on what's going on in our family, what's the most important thing that we want to address first, what's our priorities, what do we want to tackle, and then implement it on Monday. Okay? Yeah. That's it. Thank you.
So much, Edwina. Thank you so much, Christina. And John, I believe that we heard the laugh, so that means that's exactly what they were going
There you
to
go. Yeah.
Thank you so much. It was very important, very important for all of us, these 2 sessions. And I really enjoyed Abuna and Christina when they copy Jesus. When we read about Jesus, when they said in the book, in the Bible, without parable, he didn't speak. without the parable he didn't see. What was the parable they brought with them today? What was the parable they brought with them today?
John's our parable.
Yeah.
John's our parable.
John's our parable.
They brought
John.
Yeah. John's our parable.
So that's exactly, without seeing this experience, it will be totally different. It's very important, but it was very important for us to read and experience, to the point that I got more than one request. Can we bring John to the youth so he can talk to the youth? I got more than one request today that he can come and, after Abuna's permission,
Yeah,
to
100%.
come and talk to them. So let me conclude with you why we thought about parents first. Why? What was the idea to have you first, to the first and the second session? Because it starts from you, because you're working with the church. You're working with your kids as well. So this was very important. And that's why when we brought parents, husband and wife, so they can talk to you as well. So this is very important. We face this in the Sunday school. When we try to start the rules, no cell phone in Sunday school, we're expecting you to support us. When we're again saying no cell phone during convention, we get so many.
We understand.
We want your support. When we go to convention, when we go to retreat, when we go to all of this. So your support is very important. Cell phone in the altar, all of this for the deacon. Mina, you wanted to talk about the cell phone in deacon with the young deacons and all of that. So definitely we started with the parents because it started the very first seed starting from your home. So it's not going to be very strange when you have the rule in your home and then coming to the church finding different rules. So when you come to the church, find the same rule you started already and implemented already in your house. So that was the idea, to have a parents meeting first. I know that more than one talked to me and maybe talked to Abuna as well, that we need to have this for the youth. But it was very important to start it from you. Thank you very much, Abuna. Thank you, Christina. Thanks, John, behind the pillar. Thank you. And maybe next time, I will bring a parable of St. Matthew and St. Mark.
That makes a huge difference.
Because we have Abuna look already.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bruno. Thank you for having us.
And he comes to us as a priest.
Thank you.
So just as
I don't know what to say.
very
Thanks.
simple.
Thank you.
Simple gift.
Thank you.
Thank you
God
so
bless you
much.
guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.